until sharing is PowerPoint.
Okay, morning everyone. We're just going to leave it a couple of minutes while we wait for our other schools to join us. We have got, I think, 9 schools that have registered, so we'll just leave it a couple of minutes. Okay, thank you. Excellent. Morning.
Morning. Sorry.
Morning. Oh, don't worry, it's fine. I just want to let a few more in. I can see everyone's starting to come in now, so I just didn't want to start.
I'm doing mine on my phone.
We need to get it right, so we don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I just a bit of a rush, last minute rush. I'm trying to find something to leave my phone on.
Oh,
Radio off. If anyone was trying to get in the reset room,
don't worry, no problems. My laptop decided it was going to do updates at 8:58. So, and because I'm not particularly techy, it was like, I don't believe this. Anyway, I've got technical support with me.
I can't even find it. I found a free room. I can't even find a laptop, so I'm doing mine on my phone.
Okay, no worries. Okay, I think we'll basically start. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our workshop Wednesday. Today we have our group manager for student recruitment, admissions and careers with us, and that's Phil Smith, and he is going to talk about the sort of surge in applications and where we are, and give a little bit of advice as well. Just to let you know that this is being recorded, so if you'd rather not be seen or heard, then obviously cameras off and mics off. And then we can take questions at the end. So if you want to type in any of your questions, then, you know, Phil or myself will answer them at the end. Okay, Phil, I'm going to pass this over to you now.
Welcome everyone. Hiya. So sorry, it's nice and bright and early, so let's get going. I'm sure everyone's got places to be, but yeah, we just wanted to really give you a context about the background of the surge of applications that we were seeing, and you know, some of the measures that we're taking to create more spaces, to create more rooms, recruit more staff, things like this, and how we're managing it, but also about you know, because depending on who you ask, different courses will have different opinions as to what is full or not, but lecturers tend not to apply conversion rates into our overall application numbers. So the actual reality of the picture is sometimes distorted when it's communicated, but I've got all the data in front of me now, so I can give you some clear and concise responses. So a couple of the reasons why our sort of landscape is changing. Is there a presentation with the Rosie? Have you got one, or do you want me to hit present on the PowerPoint?
That you've got the presentation. Yeah.
Let me just do a share then quickly.
Yeah.
There we go. Can we see?
Yeah, Phil, I think that's the wrong presentation. That's the one on T levels.
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yep. Good for go.
Okay. So a couple of factors. Obviously, some good, some troublesome that we have to kind of navigate around. The introduction of T levels this year, obviously, it's the defunding of some level 3 qualifications is in some ways challenging, but in others we've got actually quite a popular T-level offer at the moment, and 11% of our total applications that are coming in at the moment are T-levels. And not all of these are additional groups. Some of them are instead of qualifications. In other courses, they are additional groups. So this is good. The demographic in our area as well continues to expand, and it's likely the amount of 15-year-olds within the sort of Cambridgeshire, Lincolnshire area is going to slightly increase for the next couple of years as well. And to try and meet obviously the extra demand, we've got new buildings, new classrooms, a lot of infrastructure work going on at the college at the moment, you know, recruitment drives and all sorts of things like that too. But obviously there is a high demand on some courses, really high demand. On others, it's not so much, but typically in terms of an IAG stance, it's really the IAG is getting the right course for the student. And there's a couple of tips in terms of the applications and the processes and the onboarding that can help students secure places. But what we try and do, it's a really difficult one where we have full courses, but we are good at making sure that everyone gets a place, whether it'll be their first choice or second choice. Very few students actually get disappointed and have to do sort of an intro course before they start, because we could create extra groups and all sorts, and we enroll, you know, for a good 3 or 4 weeks into term as well. So in terms of getting the applications correct, it's a bit of proofreading, because my team see a lot of applications that come through with missing details that they have to chase and things like this. But the correct details, particularly contact details, are really important. So the third point there about using the correct email addresses and being a personal one and not a school one, because some schools take email addresses down and we have to communicate with students, or the students don't check their school emails when they're out of hours, and maybe the subjects that they pick don't involve a lot of being in computer rooms and things like this as well, so they don't actually get the opportunity to check that. So personal emails are the way to go. Pretty much all of our communication that we send regards admissions is via email. However, we do use text messages to chase students to accept offers and things like this as well. So which is one of the which is one of the key things that I would say would be advantageous to our applicants, to accept their offers as quickly as possible. In terms of when we get to enrolment, we only invite applicants that have accepted offers into our enrolment. We will get some sort of change of mind people and some walkthroughs, and perhaps their GCSEs weren't quite what they expected, or better than what they expected. So we'll deal with those on an ad hoc basis. But the best thing, that once we make a conditional offer, if an applicant has had an interview or whatever, we actually send a link out to the applicant to accept their offers. So a good piece of advice would be to do that as fast as possible. Because if they haven't accepted offers, I mean, we will chase them, but we won't chase them forever. So if they don't accept that offer, they just won't be invited to enroll. So that is the key, one of the key first things to do. In terms of the other things, coming to open days, meet the tutors and all the rest of it, attendance to all of these activities that we do, to Taste the Days, open days, meet the tutors, auditions and everything like this, we track all of that as well. So obviously, you know, we have to apply what's called conversion. So typically around 65% is our conversion rate on most courses. Some it's higher, some it's slightly lower. And actually what that means is how many applications actually convert into enrolment. Because FE colleges don't know how many students each year we're going to get, it's really kind of a work, you know, Rosie's team working really hard to get as many applications in, because we know that we're probably going to lose 35% of those applications that won't turn into enrolments. So there's quite, which is what I was on about earlier, so which is what curriculum sometimes don't always get when they're talking to careers people at events or other schools and things like this. They go, well, actually I can only fit 24 in my classroom and I've got 25 applicants, so what's going to happen on there? Actually we can take much more than that, because we know we're going to get some kind of change of minds and some fallouts and some grades, because every offer that we make is based on predicted grades anyway, unless you know, applicants have already got their GCSEs, or it's a HE course, for example, where they've already got grades. So there is more, let's say, allowance or play in the system than what some people kind of are led to believe. And looking at the data, some courses, for example, our A-level provision is slightly lower conversion than a sort of standard 65% on that one. So which obviously, you know, a lot of students don't get the entry requirements to go into A-levels, or some might surprise themselves and get it. But there is also a lot of swap around the first 6 weeks of term as well. So if a student goes on a course, I mean, it's not particularly common now, because the experience is, you know, are tried and tested, and it's a good initial experience for all of our students. So we don't get too much in terms of swapping around and churning at this, but on some courses we do. On some courses there's a strict steps to success program where students have to meet thresholds in terms of attendance, meeting deadlines, behavior and things like this, particularly in our construction areas. And those lecturers will then will make the decision for the student at that point whether they're going to actually be able to continue on that course. And anyone where we do have full courses, we've got an on hold list, and we just jimmy the on hold list straight into the empty spaces when they open up on the course as quickly as we can. So we do absolutely everything that we can to make sure that everyone has a place. In terms of applying, only one live application at both sites can be submitted. This just helps with our curriculum planning and our predicting in terms of numbers and interests and things like this as well. If we will do everything we can to help students decide which campus they want to go, because we duplicate a lot of our course offer at both sites. So if people wanting to do T-level in business, you've got your pick of the sites: health and social care, early years, catering, sport, public services. They're all duplicated, but where there are some differences, where if an applicant wants to do travel and tourism, they have to do that at Peterborough. Likewise with engineering. But if they wanted to do A-levels, that would be a Stanford-based subject. So there are some slight differences, but in the most of the curriculum offer is at both sites at this point in time. So, but what we will do, if there is duplicate applications, we will just hold the applications. So in terms of if a student or a potential applicant is coming to you saying, I don't know whether I want to do health and social care at Stanford or childcare at Peterborough, the best way to do it is to get the decision made initially rather than put in 2 applications. Because what we will do, if 2 applications go in, we will ask which site and which course would you prefer, and we won't make any conditional offers until that decision is firmed up. So which means there can be this kind of period of time where an application is held in limbo, but we will try and offer that applicant advice and guidance or assistance to help. We've got our start profile system that's on our website as well that they can use, and I'm sure your kind selves will you know, put some time into helping students make the right decisions. But certainly we will do all that as well. I mean, we do sort of ad hoc schools tours and things like this too. We have taster days, open days, meet the tutors all through the year. So the earlier you can start this process off, because there's nothing stopping an applicant applying for early years at Stanford, going to a meet the tutor, changing their mind and changing their application to health and social care at Peterborough, attending that meet the tutor. So there's, within a recruitment year, there's plenty of time to kind of to and fro with an application. But that would be my advice: change the live application that's on the system rather than submitting multiple, because that will just avoid that sort of limbo period where there's no conditional offers and no invites. And then if it does get to it, you know, we still have applicants before they become students change their mind at enrollment as well. So it's a super complicated process, but very few of our applicants and potential students are disappointed because we do absolutely everything that we can to place every applicant on a course. So taster days. Obviously, what we have at the moment is we have a taster day, but typically we've got one at the at the end of the year. So that's Rosie might correct me, 27th of June, I think it is. And then students get to come in and find out what a typical day on the course is actually like, doing typical activities, meeting all of the staff in the teaching area and lots of areas. So for creative arts, for example, they run like a carousel. So actually, if you apply for arts, you'll do a little bit of art, a little bit of fine art, a little bit of graphics, a little bit of fashion, and it's all, and then changes can happen at that stage as well. So some students can come to the admissions team and actually go, well, I did a taster for art just now, but I also did one for graphics and I really like graphics and I really want to do graphics. And we can change applications at that point too. But please don't go, oh, well, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to submit an application for art, submit an application for graphics, submit an application for photography, and then it will just be hung in limbo there. So that's a key point in terms of progressing an application as quickly and efficiently as possible. But right now we are kind of considering, typically we have typical numbers that attend our taster day. Some areas are full because of workshop capacity and things like this and health and safety reasons, but that's pretty much the only reason why. We are conscious about the student experience as well, so we don't want to put 35 in a class that's really only made for 24 and people are standing in the corner and things like this as well. So we do consider that too, and at the moment we are considering having additional taster days, half-day taster days, and all sorts of things so we can maximize the utilization on those sessions as well. But yeah, so in terms of that, hopefully what we will have is lots of students that go, yes, I definitely want to be a carpenter. I'm going to apply for carpentry and I'm going to meet the entry requirements and I'm going to stick with carpentry and then I'm going to enroll on carpentry and then I'm going to be a carpenter. And then, but it doesn't always work like that, unfortunately, because I mean, I just remember when I was 15, if someone asked me, what do you want to do? Because when you sort of go, oh, what do you want to do? It was like, what do you mean for the rest of my life? I'm 15. I really don't know. So it's a difficult one. And I was in the same kind of boat, and I'm sure everyone else was. So it's a daunting decision. So we do put mechanisms in there so people can change their minds or ring up for advice and guidance and things like that. And you know, we pack the website with course information to just try and make it that decision as pain-free as possible. But in terms of enrollment is very important. That is the key. So by the time it gets to that point, that is when we are looking at genuine capacity on courses. So at this point, we're looking at increasing utilization and we are building rooms at both sites. Staff are moving all over the place to create classrooms and things like this, which is a great problem to have for us. But at the same time, a problem's a problem and we don't want people to be disappointed or not get onto their first choice offers. So the enrollment communication is really, really key. So my biggest piece of advice to all applicants would be to, as I said before, to accept their offers as quickly as possible, try and make their mind up. So come out, like what Rosie said at the start, come out the blocks as quickly as you can in terms of, you know, as soon as you hit year 11, we get a lot of year 10s coming to open evening now as well, which is really, really great to see. They're already thinking about it at that stage. But when we send out our enrollment comms, it's going to be getting ready for college, where we kind of verify, you know, check that the contact details are correct, you know, before we start inviting people in for in-person enrollment. That is where we are going to get the main indication of our enrolled numbers from. So my best advice for any applicant would be, when something comes through that says getting ready for college on it, and it's a pre-enrollment form, do that immediately. That will all come through. It will go out around June, July time. And it will go out, it's an email, it's an online form. So if people are on holiday, you know, if they've gone to summer holidays to Mallorca or wherever it might be, they can still complete this form. It won't affect their enrollment. We have lots of, and it's all phone doable from any electronic device as well. So you can do it from a phone. That bit is key, because then at that point, if you are still on holiday when our physical enrollment happens, we will then have, you know, yes, you're definitely coming. This is your intention. And we had, some reserved spaces last year for students that were going on holiday. I think only about 30 in the end. I mean, it is an additional process, so we'd much rather people make their enrollment dates. But from GCSE results day, I think that's the 24th or the 25th, that is when our enrollment will start for our returning students. And the Friday of that week is where we will be kicking off fully, but we will communicate which subjects are going to be enrolling on which day. So it's key, if those dates don't tie up with applicants' holidays and things like this as well, it's key to communicate with us as quickly as possible, just so we can kind of ring fence those spaces. But we will need to see, students, if applicants need bus passes and things like this, they won't actually be able to travel on the buses without passes that they'll need to come in and collect. So obviously, if that is the case and they can't make main enrollment, they're going to have to get themselves to campus on the first day to pick up their ID badge and get all their bus pass sorted and things like that too. But yeah, that would be my biggest bit of advice in terms of securing places. And yeah, so this is an interesting point. In terms of understanding that an offer does not mean that a student is enrolled. It's kind of going back to what we were saying before, because if all our conditional offers, pretty much 95% of them are based on predicted grades. And I mean, I don't know about any of yourselves, my GCSE O-level predictions were that they were there or thereabouts, but actually my actual attainment was higher than what I was predicted. So actually I had a few more options than what I thought I was going to have. And it happens the other way as well. So particularly with English and maths. So for most level 3s, particularly T-level courses, there will be a requirement for level 4s at GCSE English and maths. So as you're probably aware, the maths grade boundaries changed quite substantially this year, which affected the amount of students that we have doing English and maths. There was 1,000 additional students that needed English and maths this year, but if they'd have taken the exam in the previous sitting, it was a 20-point more favorable scenario to get a 4. So anything can happen, and this is kind of, we have to try and plan for every eventuality basically. So it's not, if we make a conditional offer and that offer is accepted, that it's not a guaranteed place on the course. The key is the enrollment communication and the getting ready for college comms that will come out over the summer. Okay, so I guess this slide is kind of summing up sort of what we've said in terms of getting out the blocks early, making a really, really early start in terms of trying to think about what you want to do, because we know that minds are going to change and things like this. We do get, conversely, as I said before, that carpenter wannabe example that knows they want to be a carpenter. Maybe it's a family business or something like this, or maybe they've just got a good head on their shoulders and thinking, actually, there's loads of jobs in construction at the moment. I'm going to guarantee myself work as soon as I finish my course. I'm going to do one of the trades or health and social care or something like this, where I can just go straight into a job, and they're absolutely blinkered and fixed on that pathway. Ideally, every single applicant will be like that, but realistically, they're absolutely not. So we've built our processes around these kind of things, and anyone can change an application at any time if they have a change of heart, or the parent's friend offers them an apprenticeship opportunity and that kind of thing. We can absolutely go down that route, and that seems to be really, really popular. They're quite tricky to find, the employers for apprenticeships at the moment, but at the same time, if applicants can get one, we will happily investigate and deliver the standard on that as well. And we can put, applicants in contact with our apprenticeship team, get them callbacks and that sort of thing if they're interested. That's not a problem. In terms of costs, we know that some courses like beauty, for example, and media makeup have really expensive kit and equipment, because especially for media makeup, they kind of need a hair kit and a beauty kit at the same time, and it can amount to about £500 a kit. Then our bus passes are going to be £660 this year. So with food and lunches and uniform and things like this, costs can start to mount up. But we are increasing our financial support thresholds this year, and we're not tiering the system either. So basically, anyone with income a household income of under £45,000 will get absolutely everything that they need to study on whatever course that they choose. So, and there isn't a contribution on transport like we ran this year as well. So we had 2 different thresholds this year where financial support below a certain income amount got absolutely everything, and above that certain income threshold, you'd get a contribution towards a bus pass and your kit. This year, everyone gets everything, and the threshold's going up from £40,000 to £45,000. So the key message here to students is do not be put off by cost, because we will remove those barriers. Obviously, we need to do it. It's all income based, so we do need to have an assessment of household need. So I'm not just going to give out £500 worth of kit and £660 bus passes without, you know, benefit statements, pay slips and confirmation of earnings. But we have guidance about how to apply for all of that on the website, and that's there right now. I'm just updating all the marketing and the thresholds. They'll be done in the next month or so. Don't even let applicants consider that as a factor, because we can cater for everyone in terms of that. Genuine lack of authenticity. I mean, this is a really good point, Rosie, because some of the personal statements, I've got a very, very, very experienced admissions team at both sites. So, you know, personal statements we get vary in quality, vary in genuine, and, you know, kind of authenticity there. And especially with, you know, meet the tutor sessions and taster days and things like this, applicants just need to be themselves, you know, and if they're unsure, tell us you're not sure and we will help you, you know, that kind of thing. It's not, well, okay, well, if you don't know what you want to do, sorry, you can't have a place. We don't operate like that. We're so supportive, and we will do everything we can to try and place people, you know, on the courses that they want to do, like removing those barriers to access, you know, the courses they want to study in and things like this as well. Unfortunately, though, apprentices don't get financial support and bursaries of any kind because they're classed as employed, and they can negotiate wages with employers and things like this as well. But yeah, so focus on English and maths. I kind of covered that as well, so I'm not going to go back over that one. But there's definitely English and maths are one of those qualifications that will follow you around. So if students come in at level 1 and do English or maths, and then do level 2 and then do level 3, you know, it's an additional 2 years to have a go at getting it before. But most of our level 3s do now require English and maths at level 4. Pretty much all of them. There are some kind of allowances that are made for progressing students, you know, because we do try and prioritize those. So for example, I mean, I used to teach business myself, and if I knew that I had a very, very capable level 2 student that got really, really nervous in exams and actually missed out on their maths grade by a couple of points, accountancy at business level 3 is not rocket science. It's times, divides, takeaways, you know, and it's not like we do a non-calculator paper for accountancy in business. It's the transferable skills that typically come with the GCSE maths grade 4 that will go in terms of the that'll apply to the accountancy level on the level 3 business course. But and I can't stand accounting, to be honest. It absolutely, if I'm completely honest, it bores the absolute stuffing out of me, and I dropped it as quick as I could at university, but I still got through it. And you know, my maths wasn't particularly great, to be honest, at the time. So, but yeah, I definitely think backup plans are options, but I mean, I don't like the word backup plans. I think for an applicant to make a proper informed choice, they need to know what's out there. So if you're weighing up between school or Stanford College, and you live in Spalding and you've not been to Boston or any of the schools over there, or the Peterborough routes that can get you into Spalding and the schools there, if you don't know what's out there, you're not going to have all the information and all the facts to make a decision off. So it's kind of like, you know, my advice would be, especially what I give to the year 10s, is go and see everything. Start going to open days now for different schools and different colleges, looking at courses, and then kind of weighing it all up and doing a little bit of a, you know, an analysis of the advantages, the pros and cons of each kind of college for your pathway in the course, you know, in the environment and things like this as well. Because a lot applicants misunderstand. They think, oh, they're going to come to college. Someone's fire alarm's going off, I think.
Yeah.
They're going to come to college and no one's going to chase us for our work. Not like school. It was like, couldn't be further from the truth. If students, we have a whole team dedicated to attendance and performance tracking that are separate from our course tutors. So actually students get here from all angles. They can't escape. If they don't hand in an assignment, you know, they will know about it. You know, their parents will know about it. Carers will know about it. You know, we're very quick to respond in this case. So, and actually that's a key difference that people just, it's a bit of a myth bust there, because crikey, if
Yeah.
any of my students miss my assignment deadlines, you know, they, in the end they wouldn't, because I just shot them straight out to their parents. And that was the worst thing ever to a 16-year-old, you know, that's told their parents that they've handed their work in. So absolutely we do chase them. So backup plans are important, and there was just a myth bust in terms of the key, some of the key things that kind of sometimes puts people off doing A-levels at colleges. I can tell you it's absolutely nonsense, because I know a lot of our A-level lecturers very, very well, and particularly the progress, the student mentor, the progress tracker in that area as well, very, very on the ball, which is again part of the reason why our A-level results are so good. So transport and finance, I have touched on that a little bit. Our bus routes are changing, particularly at Peterborough. So we actually have spotted quite a few duplicates where public services are actually covering our dedicated closed college contract routes. And actually with the public service ones, it's such a better offer, because next year, most of the Stagecoach and the Delane passes will actually be cheaper than the college contracts. They run all day. As well. So obviously if students got, you know, a part day at college, you know, they're only in for 3/4 and they've got lesson free, they can jump on a public bus and go home if they want to, or they can jump on a public bus and come in later if they haven't got a first lesson. They can use the annual passes to get them to placements. They can use the buses to, you know, on their days off. You know, if you've got a Delane pass and you live in Deepin and you come into Stamford for your college 3 days a week, the other 2 days you want to get into Peterborough to go into town or a work placement or your T-level placement, that pass is absolutely valid. Whereas our buses are basically will drop off at the college and not. So the public services are so much more flexible. There's app trackers that they've got all this new technology. So the My Trip app will actually, you know, students will be able to see a map of where the bus is and how long it's going to be before it reaches the top. So we actually think that, you know, as much as it's not really a cost exercise for us, it's just the quality of service that, you know, Delane, Stagecoach, Vectari, Whippet, you know, First Excel, Arriva, that they actually, you know, supply. And obviously anyone on financial support, we won't mess around with buying them weekly passes and things like this. We'll buy them an annual pass, so it's easy. They won't have to keep coming back to us for tickets and things like this too. I mentioned about financial support there already. We will have these out to you, to applicants, within hopefully around a month to 6 weeks time, so we can actually start processing financial support applications. So free school meals, for example, we want to get these applications out early, so when the students do enroll, the free school meals will be in place for the first day that they arrive on college campus, rather than us kind of going, right, now you've enrolled, you can apply for financial support, and then we process 2,200 of them every single year ish. And then obviously inevitably there's a queue, so we're going to try and do them over the whole summer this time, so we can pre-order uniform and kit and equipment and things like that as well. But it just all goes back to, do not let cost be a prohibitive barrier to doing the course or the pathway that an applicant wants. But again, our financial support page is very comprehensive. It's going to be updated very soon, because the current booklets, I'll just tell you now, all say that the threshold is 40,000 and there's a tiering system. So I'm literally about to pester marketing today. Sorry, Rosie, it's Rachel that I'm going to have all the booklets redesigned and things like that as well. So that'll have the new thresholds, the increased thresholds and the new bus routes, because the bus routes are changing too. There'll be a few less at each site, but pretty much every single stop that we would cover on a closed contract is accessible by a public service. But actually, some of the Spalding routes that we're still running to Stamford and Peterborough, we are still running both. But as I said, with all the advantages that you get from the public service that I mentioned before, I mean, my teams are already kind of going, okay, well, you can pick whichever one you want. The advantages you get with our bus is it brings you to the doorstep. The advantages that you get with a public service, you have to walk 2 minutes to college, but you get all of these placement benefits and things like this. And I think from conversations with Delane this year, they're actually going to be cheaper than our college contracts in terms of the bus passes anyway. And the Stagecoach day riders, I did some quick sums the other day, and they do an anytime day rider return in the zones around the Peterborough area for £3.50. And if an applicant doesn't have to do English and maths and they're in just for a 3-day course, it's £378 pounds a year for the full 36 weeks, 3 days. And some courses will finish quicker than that. So actually, which is cheaper than an annual pass that you can buy from Stagecoach as well. So depending on the personal use that you might get out of the annual passes with Stagecoach, there's lots of different options. So we're going to put all of that in our transport brochures as well. So all of that will be there for you, but it's not quite there yet. So obviously, if you have a look tomorrow and it's not there yet, give us a little bit of time and it will be there pretty soon. But yeah, so in terms of our snapshots and things like this, I'm just conscious that I'm waffling on, and I do have a habit of doing that, so I apologize there. Numbers in comparison to last year, our application numbers are very good at the moment. In general, we are 27% up on year to date, but if you look at the conversion statistics that I told you about before, being at around 65-70%, which is pretty typical for a further education college. And as I say, some subjects are lower, some higher. I'll go through a couple of those with you in a minute. We've still got play in the system, even though our applications are still up. Then on top of that, we've got a massive new build going in at Peterborough at the moment. We're doing all the room utilisations that I was telling you about before at the moment as well. Luckily, my team aren't being moved, but a few other teams are, to create where they're in big offices, where that's going to be a classroom now, or we're turning this into an additional workshop. We built all of the new space in brickwork. We've got sort of the outdoor kind of temporary, but they're not temporary. I feel like if I describe them as tents, that's doing them as a really bad disservice, because they're actually fantastic resources, and I'd love to work in there. And ultimately, brickies are going to spend most of their time outside and things like this as well. All their theory work will be done in nice classrooms and things like this too. So, but yeah, so we're increasing our capacity massively, our utilization as well, in terms of, days where our part-timers, for example, we've got part-time teachers that do Monday to Thursdays. So obviously it frees up rooms on the Friday that we can utilize a little bit more and things like this. So absolutely everything that we can to increase our capacity, we are doing, but we're still not at that point where we're going, oh my goodness, where are we going to put all these students? So it's just applications that are very healthy. They are healthier than what they were last year, but this year what we found is, because we opened the application window slightly earlier than what we did in a typical year, the year-to-date figure is also slightly skewed as well. So we've got lots of earlier applications. So our year-to-date figure on the 17th of April last year, we weren't all the way through our internal progression yet, and we're about 80% away through that now. So which is inflating our year-to-date numbers. So we're not at panic stations yet. Pinpoint areas though, where there are always capacity, I say issues, or where courses are in really, really high demand, are plumbing and electrical. These are not due to space. These are often due to staffing. So it's trying to find an electrician and a plumber that are knocking on for the highest paid trades to come in and work in the public sector. So those kind of teachers are quite difficult to find. For example, the plumbing apprenticeship standard is not running at Peterborough. We're doing heating and gas, but the plumbing apprenticeship, I found out yesterday, we're not able to currently deliver at this point, because we've got deliver any additional applicants for plumbing until we've got a substantial amount of our plumbing apprentices through, then we can take on some more. So, and it's mainly around staffing, because we're creating more workshop space for plumbing at the Stamford site as well, really soon. There'll be more gas and heating bays in there as well, but electrical, plumbing, early years and health and social care at Stamford fills up very quickly as well. So, and they're really the main pinch points. But courses that are growing in popularity, but there are typically spaces on them, catering at both sites, A-levels at Stamford, public services and sport at Stamford as well. They are growing in numbers, but we always find room, and the students have a great experience on the courses. They go on to some really good destinations. A lot of our sports students will apply to university and go on and get successful places and things like this as well. So basically the key there, I mean, the construction areas, engineering at Peterborough does get quite full quite quickly as well. But as I said before, we are literally bending over backwards at the moment to improve our utilization, build more space, build more workshops and things like this. And this will only continue into years to come. So as the population and our applications increase, we will increase as an organization in size in terms of infrastructure as well. And hopefully the two will marry up, and absolutely we'll have no disappointed people come enrollment. But as we are not guaranteed our enrollments, you know, there's a bit of finger crossing going on in terms of we don't know who we're going to get until our enrollment numbers are in. So it's a little bit different to a school. So we're kind of some areas like the English and maths that I told you about, where we had 1,000 additional students that needed English and maths, took a little bit of planning. We actually needed to recruit 5 more English and maths lecturers between each department at the time, and then, you know, do some planning exercises, completely re-timetable everything, which took a bit of time, but we got there. And, you know, we still have, you know, very good English and maths results. So it's challenges, but we always overcome them is the upshot. But inevitably, if I was to sit here and guarantee that absolutely every single applicant will get a place on every single course that they want to do, that would be a little bit irresponsible of me to do so. But at the same time, what I can guarantee you is that we will make every effort to place every single accepted offer on a course. So I do apologise. Thank you very much for listening. I apologise for going on a little bit, but if you do have any questions, I will pop them in the chat or raise your hand or shout them out. However I can help, I will do.
Well, thank you, Phil. That was so helpful. You've obviously covered so much. There aren't any questions at the moment.
I talk too much, Rosie, I think.
Okay, yeah, I still can't see any. But I'll be here for the next sort of 3 minutes, just in case there are. I just wanted to give a couple of dates out, actually. So this presentation that we've just done is going to be, I'm going to be running this on the 9th of May at 6:30, but this is going to be for parents and carers. And I would really appreciate it once we've sent you an e-shot on it, that you can share this with your parents and carers, because it really does help, and hopefully it will help you as well, in that there'll be less questions coming your side and we can start to answer them. So that's one key date. The other is the 18th and 19th of June, which is our UCP Discovery Days. This is actually, I've kind of just been spreading the word, and I'm just waiting for the official invite to come out with all the information you'll need, but it's actually looking to be extremely popular. And it is going to be offered on a first come first served basis to year 12 students. A fantastic day, and of course we're paying for your coach, so we'll come and pick you up too. I don't have anything else apart from to thank you, Phil, so much for that. It's really helpful. I can't see any questions in the chat. If anyone's got anything they want to talk to, you know, later on at any stage, you all know that I'm always here to answer any questions I can, or I'll reach out to others that can. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Take care. Have a good day. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.